Ashley, we started talking about vaccines. A lot of the money goes to vaccine production, vaccine distribution, increasing trust and faith and confidence in the vaccines. About 49, let's see, how many vaccines have been distributed? About 49 million, 32 million have been administered. There's more reporting about how hard the Trump White House worked against the states that were trying to deal with their own COVID crises, because that's what Jared Kushner and the White House determined the policy to be. Stat News writes this: top Trump officials actively lobbied Congress to deny state governments any extra funding for the COVID-19 vaccine rollout last fall, despite frantic warnings from state officials that they didn't have the money they needed to ramp up massive vaccination operations. The push, described as stat by congressional aides in both parties and openly acknowledged by one of the Trump officials, came from multiple high-ranking Trump health officials in repeated meetings with legislators. Without the extra money, states spent last October and November rationing the small pot of federal dollars they've been given. And when vaccines began shipping in December, states seemed woefully underprepared. We now know, the tragic consequences of this. States were woefully unprepared. They remain so. But another big chunk of this relief package is to address all of those deficiencies of the Trump plan. How much of that is part of the public push or sort of the conversations with the Republicans over there today?
Well, I think the Biden team is walking a fine line, and that they have made a point of they have privately made clear that they inherited what they believe is a mess. That said, if they spend their time, and they have made clear they're not going to spend all of their time blaming the previous administration, because that's just not particularly effective politically or frankly effective. And actually, again, going back to that key thing, which is getting shots in arms. But it is worth noting here that the key thing that the Biden team has to get a handle on, and again, much of this was inherited, are vaccines. For my weekend story, I was talking with public health officials of what it will take to get the country back on track, and everything came down to vaccines. One was increasing the rate of production and distribution. Another thing was making sure that we can track new emerging variants in other countries and make sure the vaccines work for them and get a handle on that. Another was making sure that people who do get vaccinated or have family members who get vaccinated sort of don't overreact and engage in risky behavior, which is especially a tough behavioral tweak when we are hitting very much a year in pandemic fatigue. And then the final thing is getting not the anti-vaxxers who are never going to get a vaccine, but that roughly a quarter of the population who is hesitant, often for good reason, convincing them that it is safe and in fact necessary. And if those people don't show up and get a vaccine, and if vaccines aren't ready for them, this all kind of falls apart. So everything goes back to all of these aspects of the vaccine, which is where the Biden team started sort of from behind the starting line.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.